Well, hello everybody. Time for another rant, discussion, whatever. Um, this time I thought I'd take a little shot at the Hollywood world and the seeming lack of um, sense of humor about certain subjects, and um, just the lecturing that seems to be going on to their audience these days. Um, the In general, I guess the people who end up in Hollywood are of a certain character, of a certain type. You know, they're driven to achieve in their particular form of art, and be that acting or directing or writing, and all the different groups. There's a tendency for them to be certainly left of center in their viewpoint. And that's fair enough. I mean, you know, if that's what is selected for in the character of the people, then hey, it's going to be there no matter what. But I think something is definitely happening with regard to the writing in these kinds of, in the movies we're seeing these days. The offerings that come out of Hollywood seem to be more strident, a little more focused on it, and they're missing the point, I think, of what their real job is, which is to put bums in seats and sell something like that's enjoyable to the population. If you mix in too much in the way of ideology and rhetoric, it's going to turn a lot of people off. It's going to It's going to make the plot not work. It's just all of that stuff. And I gotta say, I've turned off of watching many of the movies that come out. I'll jump in for some of the big ones. I've liked the latest James Bond iteration. I forget his name. The current James Bond was reinvigorated the that iconic brand to me, and made it another, just reinvigorated the franchise to the point where it became one of the biggest in the world. You know, Star Wars has gone down a hole. The last one I saw just was, it was, I don't know, the dialogue and the character development was just, didn't seem realistic, didn't seem that good. And frankly, it had been degrading for some time. And no, I don't have any real interest unless something comes out that hits it out of the park again. I won't be going back. Haven't watched any of the online stuff, although I hear it's not so bad. And, you know, there's been a number of them like that. Uh, to me, it's real clear. It's really obvious. And I think it's kind of the reason why you would see um, a certain number of white people in movies, and you know, it's the audience. If the audience is being sold, if it's being sold to people in Europe and North America, and um, you know, I guess now there's China and a few other places where they're starting to cater to, but um, a lot of the ticket buyers were looking for people that they recognized, I guess, in some of these roles. And if it puts the bums in the seats, then that's what drives it. Now, there have been some tremendous black actors come through Hollywood that are, you know, are among the best they've got, have sold really well, and it hasn't been, I don't think, for many years, an issue. Now, you know, in terms of writing, in terms of directing, those kinds of things, there's been, and women have been complaining about not getting the chance to direct. But frankly, I think there's been quite a few of them now, and it's coming down, I think, to who can produce. It's commercial success drives it all. At some point, Hollywood's going to stop worrying so much about whether or not you should be in that role given your skin color or your background. And it's going to be more about, can this person, once again, can this person sell the product? There's been, we think of some of these characters in these roles, and we wouldn't imagine them without it, but often the original offering of a particular iconic role wouldn't have been to that particular actor. It would have been some other name actor that declined it. The stories are legend about a role that made, say, Harrison Ford getting offered to all these different actors, and they all turned it down, going, I'm not going to do that, running through the jungle stuff. And, and the no-name Harrison Ford takes it on. It becomes Raiders of the Lost Ark, and, another big franchise for him. So it's to me, focus on what you're supposed to be doing. But I'm going to include a link to a guy who says it much better than me. The Critical Drinker is his name. Sounds like a Scottish accent, and he has a great sign-off. And he's right on in his critique of Hollywood, and he is a fan of the movies, and a really good little segment. So I'll include the link to that. The other thing that I wanted to mention, and it's hit the news, and mostly international news for whatever reason in Canada, CBC hasn't touched it. When I looked at who touched this story, it was all outside of Canada. So very strange. It's the city of Hamilton. And the city of Hamilton issued a tweet on April 24th. And to me, this is the logical extension of what happens when you everything's racial. The idea that the whole world is racist, this society is racist, and you need to see the world from a black and white, brown and white, yellow, whatever skin color. That's how you categorize people. That's how you see the world. So they issued a tweet on the 24th of April saying COVID vaccine appointments are now available for black and other racialized populations, people of color, 18 plus, who live in postal codes, blah, 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 and Friday and Sunday this coming week. And they kept reissuing it. They had a hotline as well added. And then after a period of time, it filled up. Now, there are a lot of factors involved in who is susceptible to COVID-19. And even the factors that they talk about when they mention racialized communities are all physical factors. There is a thing called sickle cell anemia that developed amongst peoples of the sub-Saharan areas of Africa. That is a particular physiology, a physical problem that is genetic, part of the genetic makeup of that region. And you could say that is, you can determine whether or not people are at risk of having this sickle cell anemia based on somewhat on skin color. Although I imagine there's been enough people moving in and out of the region and various interracial marriages, whatever that means, across the U.S. where people who are lighter skin colors have had it. I'm almost sure, but it developed as a resistance. It was really something that prevented malaria, and that was a region of Africa that was full of malaria. So anyone who had sickle cell was able to resist the malaria infection. So it had a natural way of growing within that population. It would have, I think they said they've traced it back to a single individual 7,000 years ago. It's pretty amazing how genetics works these days, but it got started 7,000 years ago and has spread in that area as a result of natural progression, natural resistance, and the pressures of natural selection to pick people that are resistant to the worst diseases of the area. So anyway, you have things like sickle cell anemia, but the kinds of things that are presented to that COVID likes in a host have no racial background. Have and frankly, even with regard to something like sickle cell, is it really racial? What is race? When you look at it physiologically, it is a fairly meaningless term. And so to introduce something like racialized populations and people of color can get the vaccine and no one else can, you're probably excluding some people who fit every other criteria that these people fit, but are unable to get the vaccine. And to me, that's just wrong. And using that kind of a term to describe a group that are going to be vaccinated is introducing something that is fundamentally wrong. And that's, I think, why it got so much attention outside of Canada and got almost none here, because our media doesn't want to discuss that kind of thing. Even discussing it is considered racist. And, frankly, we're talking about a virus. Viruses don't care. And we need to not care as well about all these things. It's all about the physiology. And if you're in a poor neighborhood in crowded conditions, it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter. You need to get the vaccine. And if 90% of them are of a particular skin color, or 100% of them are, that's fine. But let's not describe it that way, because it's inaccurate and it introduces potential problems that we don't want. So describe the issues that are prevalent and ignore the ones that aren't, and ignore the ones that mean anything with regard to a medical condition. So anyway, I felt I needed to say that. City of Hamilton, I didn't expect it out of the city of Hamilton. It's a blue collar place, but it seems as though this kind of thinking has just emerged everywhere, and it's dangerous. Dangerous for this reason. Dangerous because what happens is people start to actually implement public policy that is clearly wrong and can hurt people. And we're in a country, Canada, where we don't need to be that way. We're not that made that way. We don't have that kind of a racist history. We're not South Africa. We're not southern U.S. And we don't want to introduce it where it doesn't belong. We don't want to focus on it where it's not been focused in the past. And we want to be fair, and we want to be equitable, and we want to be transparent. So anyway, I will include a link to that tweet, and I will include a link to the Critical Drinker on his critique of Hollywood and how they've lost their way. And please enjoy that, and let me know what you think, and we shall talk soon. Thank you. Where's my camera? There it is. Bye.